What can you do with a drunken sailor? What can you do with a drunken sailor? What can you do with a drunken sailor? Early in the morning. Chuck him overboard and let him be eaten. Chuck him overboard and let him be eaten. Chuck him overboard and let him be eaten. Early in the morning. Morning, all. Arr. Warm today, 100 degrees. Even the camels were panting in the shade. But still, they're very small camels, so it doesn't matter. And tomorrow is going to be hot, and then the next day is going to be hotter. It's going to be hot after that. And that could be the end of summer, though. We'll have to drink some of the last summer wine. Have you got any wine?
I don't think it's any good anymore.
Is that the one you got out of the pyramids? The wine?
In the front room, they are.
That's probably fine. I'm not a big fan of wine being left in our climate out of the fridge, even though everyone says, oh, you've got to have
It should be.
room temperature red wine, of course.
No, well, not when we've got 40 odd degree heat.
Oh, maybe you should bring it in.
I think it's beyond that because that wine in the front round has been there since before we
Next time we have a big crowd, we'll open it. And so this tastes a little bit strange. I say it's obviously matured. But it smells like feet. It smells like bad feet. Drink it. Stop complaining. It's free. Yes, summer's coming to an end. Early, strangely. But it's hot today. It's still 30 degrees here late into the evening. At least we're getting some good solar, which is good. Free energy. Nothing better. Yes, very warm. We've been alive for a long time. And the body of a North Queensland man inside a crocodile. Believed to be a missing fisherman.
What? That's true.
Yes, human remains found in North Queensland believed to be missing fisherman. Crocodile was euthanized. They shot him.
Because they were 100% sure that was the croc?
Well, I don't know. Sometimes crocs could just be nuisances. It's a news report from a company called Life Hacker. The weird things Aussies keep asking Alexa. Let's have a look. Aussies ask Alexa quite often. Alexa, meow. Alexa, can you cluck like a chicken? They ask Alexa how tall she is. Weird. What else is in the news? Princess Eugenie beams as she leaves hospital with new baby son.
Huh?
Royal news.
Who?
Princess Eugenie.
Oh, Fergie's thing.
Right, could be Fergie's.
Fergie's daughter.
Could be, not sure. Just playing. There you go, look on the telly. Weird. But I can disconnect it. So, we've been on very late. There's probably hardly anyone we know that'll be here. A small gathering of villagers, probably at work, bunkering down, wearing a mask, and eating rice and beans. This is the way of the world. Got a big plate full of roasted vegetables and fish. Hello, Mel Mel. You're a friend of Mel's.
Hello.
Mel's. What if Mel is a friend of Mel is a friend of Mel's? What if there is a name of Mel? Probably is. And if not, someone will probably do it now. It's very kind of her. She's a very lovely lady. And her husband's a top bloke as well. Oh, you're a bargain hunter, Mel. Now I know where you come from. Michelle and Mel hunting the meat section, particularly, of Coles. It's like a gang. Nothing wrong with a bargain. I love a bargain. I picked up some Scotch fillet last week. A very cheap price. I got 4 packets of them, and they was good. I used to have in Coles in Richmond, New South Wales. It used to be open till midnight. There was hardly anyone in the shop at midnight. And I got to know the butcher. And I'd pick up every couple of weeks, I'm not kidding, probably about $600 worth of meat for about $30. And what I used to do is distribute it in amongst the big family we've got over there. So like, really cheap. You know, 3 fellas to feed. Well, you can always teach them to cook. And then all you have to do is go to morning tea with the ladies, have cake and coffee, walk along the promenade, say, boys, there's food in the fridge and cupboard. I'll be back at 5. Make sure my dinner's on the table. We used to live down where Mel lives, beautiful little place. Used to like walking around the foreshore. Long walks we used to do, didn't we?
Yeah.
That's not going to happen. Oh, right. Well, as long as the boys pull their weight, you do the cooking, they do all the cleaning. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen too, I guess. It's too busy. Well, we've got 5 kids and 10 grandkids, and we're always busy. But you've got to make time for yourself. Yeah, it was different. She's testing my age. I was through Mandra when it wasn't really Mandra.
Yeah, me too.
In the early 70s. So, yeah, it wasn't really Mandra then. It was just an estuary, a few old buildings, a lot of old state houses. You probably remember that if you've been there 25 years. You know what I'm saying? A lot of old houses on the coastline, going south of the town and a bit north. It's all changed now. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Remember the beach houses. A lot of them used to call them fishermen huts. They weren't actually always lived in full time, but people used to go down there for the weekend, fire up the barbie on the beach. Very common up and down the coast. They knocked a lot of them down, obviously there, and on the road from, say, Dongra. I used to live in Geraldton. Dongra, 7 Mile Beach, Jurien, Cervantes. There was thousands of them. Usually just tucked up over high tide, up in the dunes. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? There was thousands of them. It was a way of getting away all the time. There'd be a few in Falcon, I guess. But I imagine, because we've driven down, we stayed in Preston Beach, and there used to be, in the 70s, heaps of beach cottages. And they were ramshackles, pretty rough, a lot of them. A lot of people bought old state houses and just plonked them on the beach, basically, even if it was only half an old state house. Some would have parked the car under a carport, usually gas bottles and rainwater tanks. What more do you need? Yeah, it's all changed. Jury, Lehman, all those areas. Even north, like Horrocks, all those little bays up and down the coast. It's life has got very sanitised. Like, I would not have thought at a drop of a hat when I was younger, just drive the car down the beach, gather some wood, fish, eat the fish in a fire, sleep on the beach. And everybody did it. Used to go for a dive just before sunset, get a few crayfish, bring lots of bread, Thousand Island dressing, a couple of drinks to keep your throat moist, sit round a campfire, maybe someone had a guitar, or just had a sing-along. No one does that anymore. Very few people, I think, do that anymore. Nannup, yeah, that's changed too. Yeah. Plenty of forest around Nannup. No shortage of firewood for you there, Mel. Marin, yep. Had some big fires through there over the last couple of decades though. We've got a friend that lives there. Her husband passed away. But they had a beautiful little place. But it's prone to flooding, Nannup, as you know. You live there, you know what I'm talking about. It turned the local town hall into a library, isn't it? What was it? In Nannup, you know, they had a meeting place, library type thing. Yeah, no, Marin were big. All through there, there's heaps of creeks. Off the Blackwood. Yeah, you got, what have you got? Nannup, just east you've got Bridgetown, Manjimup, beautiful little areas there. Yeah. There's the thing about these sort of, the weekenders were quite common, weren't they? Whether you had it down south or you had it on the coast. And you had deals with people. You said, look, I'd rather the place get used. I'm not going there this year. You guys want to use it? So people would just borrow the people's beach houses. Just your mates, you know what I mean? So it got looked after. While you're there, put a lick of paint on it for me. Yeah, no worries. Get rid of the redbacks. The last real beach house that I went to had been half pulled down, and that was it was near Port Augusta. This is again in the late 70s. So we spent a weekend there fixing it up a bit. And I remember for about 5 or 6 years, people just kept using it, and then eventually Northamptonshire decided they'd take a D9 bulldozer through there, and it disappeared. It's bloody cold in Nannup, Mel. Bloody freezing in the middle of winter, especially after the rains. That cold wind comes up. It's actually warmer in Augusta than it is in Nannup, and yet it's not that far away. It's a big part of our state around there. Still got some natural forests. It's always a bit wary for fires, but yeah, nothing worse than going out. No matter where you live, whether it was cold or hot, going out to the outside dunny, 3 o'clock in the morning, creaky door opens up, you sit down, start doing your business, and then you realise there is no toilet paper. You scramble around to see if there are any women's weeklies still there. No, they're gone. A couple of old Phantom comics, yeah, I'm afraid. They're going to have to do. Everyone's done that. And then, of course, you look around, you got maybe a little lantern or a torch, and oh, there's a big redback. You bastard, you stay there until I'm done. Yeah, those were the days. No one was rich in those days, Melmo, as we know it. You know, you ate, you lived in accommodation. You didn't really have much. Wasn't much to be had. I, as a young bloke. Yeah, you're true, we were. As a young bloke, I'd do a lot of fishing, and with family and friends, I'd give plenty away, but never went hungry. Crayfish were like cockroaches where I lived in Geraldton. How many do you want? When people go camping now, I drive out of the driveway with about 50 grand's worth of equipment. And I work under the principle, if you're going to spend 50 grand, don't spend it all at once. Go find a nice seaside resort and stay in accommodation with a spa. It's going to take you 30 years to spend 50 grand. Albany's good, I've fished down Albany. Salmon everywhere during the winter. Plenty of whiting, King George and the standard ones. And other bits and pieces to keep you going, and lots of Noah's Arks. I used to dive a lot in Geraldton, and there were plenty of sharks in Geraldton, but I was always wary of diving around Esperance and Albany. It's the big buggers down there. Cray fishermen used to have a habit when they got a snagged pot, cray pot. They would, plenty of herring everywhere. Roll-ups, yeah. Yeah, I've never been keen on roll-ups, but Mandy's mum was very keen on it, wasn't she? Yeah. Yeah, I used to dive a lot, fish a lot. Never went hungry. But no one really went and had takeaway when I was a kid. Yeah, roll-ups are a love or hate situation. It's a bit like coriander, I guess. You either love or hate it. You know what I mean? We're not real keen on coriander. But we've travelled and you get a plate full of nice food and they put a handful of coriander on top and say, what do you do that for? Have you just mowed your lawn? I don't want it. Take it away. Take the green stuff off. But in some cultures they put buckets of the stuff into their foods. Yeah, always fish and chips. Let's go down a fish and chip shop called, and this is true, the Blue Tootsie, run by a Greek bloke. I used to catch a lot of fish, and he'd say, any fish you got, mate, any extras, I'll buy off you. And I said, I'll do you a deal. I'll get some fish, and you can run me up a bit of credit. And when I want some fish and chips, I used to love potato scallops too, because he used to make the homemade type. So he said, it's a deal, mate, no worries. You bring fish, I feed you. That's what we did. A lot of that went on when I was a kid. You know, you'd go and help someone out and maybe painting something, and then a couple of weeks later, sure as eggs. And sometimes eggs themselves. There'd be veggies, watermelons, pumpkins, tomato sauces from the Italian people, and no one exchanged money. Yeah, the thing about that is that for thousands of years we've been doing that. Now everything's got to be homogenised. Did you do this and did you do that? I make my own, I don't know if you watch much of my stuff, but I make a lot of pickles and, you know, chili sauces, lots of things like that. And I always sterilise the jars. No one's ever got sick of what I've done. And it's good stuff. But if I for one moment think that I was going to sell it, geez, A, there's a fortune involved, regulations, sterilisation, blah, blah. By the end, I'd have to charge $30 a bottle of chili sauce. I wouldn't make any money out of it. So I don't. I just make it and give it away. But that's what the world's like. When I was a kid, and you're probably the same, Elmo, there were no fences between houses. Everybody would know. You just have to yell up the road saying, where's Johnny? And 3 houses up the lady says, up here. Righto. Yeah, biltongs are nice. Not sure what you use, beef, do you? A lot of people, you can use any meat, biltong. It's good good stuff. Lasts forever, literally. This one I've seen made was, imagine a garden tumbler, you know, like compost, with nothing in it, just the actual cylinder, but this is metal like a drum. Guy used to wrap 3 stainless steel bars in it, and he'd wrap all his beef around. It only used to take, like he'd have it on coals about 2 foot up in the air, and he used to dry it over probably about 3 or 4 hours. Take that batch out and then make another mob. Yeah, the problem with making it too good and everyone finds out, Mel, you make it and you never get to eat it. I made piccalilli this year for the first time in a long time. Turned out alright. I made chutneys. I had heaps of tomatoes, chilies and veggies, so I don't like wasting anything. So what we couldn't consume fresh, I'd preserve. And again, that was normal when I was a kid. I knew people that brined everything you can imagine. I remember going to their place, their storage room was bigger than any other room in the house. And it had everything in it you can imagine. Well, you've got to learn this saying, Mel. Oh, I wish you'd have come yesterday, because yesterday I would have had something to give you. Can you come here yesterday? You can't come here yet? Oh, well, maybe tomorrow. And then put it under lock and key. Like I say, they call it bartering. We never even used to call it bartering when I was a kid. Just, I'll swap you this for that. Can you come help pitch my roof? Yeah. And they'd say, I'll look after you. And that was a fairly common saying, I'll look after you. Sure enough, you get whatever, a couple of big jewfish or snapper. People used to work on, well, X amount of worth is worth this much. Yeah, I'm the same. I feed everybody. I've got, like, one of my daughter-in-laws, she's really taken up the growing and making and saving and not wasting, which is great. A lot of people just buy and chuck. I haven't visited Boit, as it was known in the Dark Ages, for a long time, because there's nothing left. I did a little video about a year ago that said the desolation of Boit, and it happened. There's nothing left except animosity and anger, which was always going to be the case. And I always get used to be like, how can people take this so personally when they have the ability, if someone's annoying them, to block them or not to go there and just dismiss them from their life? But it's like people just love that crap. And I'm thinking there's a lot of wasted time and effort and emotion with no reward. And some of them are very sad. And like, what can you do? Well, sometimes you'd like to say something, but you know it'd be pointless, and you'd probably just be accused of something that you had no intent of. So I just made it a policy just not to visit them. Some people used to say to me, oh, but, I've got to find out, I need to know, and you don't need to know. It's like, a lot of it's pointless crap. He said, she said, did she? Yes, she did. My mate said she did, and her mate said that another mate of hers who's got a friend who lives on the other side in India heard him say it, and she said it as well. It goes on. Like, what? Turn it off. Eat a pie, watch a movie. Far more enjoyment. No one's ever done a video, but one that could be done is like the Boit Crusades. The Crusades is as in these white knights or saviours or so-called cunning people literally make up stories to get other people to believe them. One day these people on board might end up being President of the United States because they're all the characteristics you need. Make up shit and lie. Yeah. And I know not what for. It's like people pointlessly just live their life sometimes vicariously on crap. There's plenty of other choices to do in life. Yeah, it's all you need to do in life, isn't it? Mel, you don't. Look, Mel, if you don't like me in real life, that's okay. You know what I mean? We'll just learn not to be bothered with each other. But people can't do it on social media. It's like a war, like a crusade. A pointless one, where there is no reward. No, I've never cared what people are. I've done it tough in my life from times to times, and them's the breaks. I don't judge people based on first impressions. And I think over time, when you give people enough rope, you know the old saying, Mel, give them enough rope, and then you pull it tight. It's done. You've got to give people some leeway. Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that at all, Mel. What it is an outlet. And you can pick and choose where you want to go. And if you get some sort of recourse out of it and it's a laugh, even just a laugh, can make what can be a pretty tiresome day for you a little bit of fun. Nothing wrong with that. And no one's got all the answers, although some would lead you to believe otherwise. We all make mistakes. We all stuff up. Well, one of the things that happens, and I watched it probably 7 or 8 years ago, and it really only was about 7 or 8 years ago things started getting weird. Like, give an example. Say I'm in a room and someone didn't like me in particular, and you come in the room and they say, ban her because she likes him. You haven't even said anything. So by association, you're guilty. Which is not how it really should work. It just appeases the narcissism in some people that believe a small victory like banning you from a particular room gives them a victory, which in fact is a very hollow victory. If you can't debate with somebody because you're small-minded and want to get your own way all the time, and you just ban Mel, that means Mel won. That's the bit I get. The real losers are the ones that don't get their narcissism fed enough, and they just accuse people of crap and bullshit and nonsense, which didn't happen. But like the previous President of the United States, if you say something often enough, some people will believe you. Oh, I don't think I'm clever. I'm just pretty average, I reckon. But I call a spade, and a fork, and a knife, a knife. And I'm not really after an eye for an eye. If someone pisses me off, I just don't visit. I have a pet hate and have done for a very long time. People asking for money. And I don't care why they ask. It's the asking bit that's wrong, because in life, as you would know, Mel, most people that need help never ask. In other words, you can see it for yourself. You don't need to be educated that you need to give somebody money because they need it. That's not the truth. In most of these channels on the bottom of YouTube, it's that they want it, not need it. There's a huge difference in life. If you can follow the things that you want, well, you're not going to get much of them. But if you can look after the pennies, the pounds will look after themselves, and you'll get what you need. But by asking for money all the time, you really are going to get categorized as an e-beggar, from my opinion. Because forever asking other people to pay for your living shows you're lazy, you're incapable of really looking after yourself, and you believe the world owes you a living. You've been called everything, including an e-beggar, for just talking about life, never asked or wanted anything. Now, the thing is, there are a lot of cunning people that do the third-party beg. They talk about a circumstance which may not be true. I'm having an knee operation. It's going to cost me, I don't know, so much money. But don't worry about it, folks. It's called the soft e-begging approach. I should be okay. But I do know that's going to cost a fortune. But I'm not asking you guys for money, by the way. Just letting you know what my life is like at the moment. Total misery and pain and suffering. If I only had the money. But I'm not asking you guys, okay? You see where I'm going with that. Different analogies for different rooms, but the same outcome. As there's a sucker born every day. $20. Of course, there's the really cunning e-beggars, the ones that have other accounts and donate $10 to themselves. Make a big hoopla about it, and then, someone else, real person, donates $2 and $5, and all of a sudden it's snowballing. So yeah, a lot of deception. And again, I just repeat what I truly believe. Anybody that needs help never asks for it because they're genuine. You earn 12 cents a month, you, proletarian, bourgeois, multi-millionaire, 12 centaire person. I've got a lot of, in the past I used to do a lot of meditation videos, and they still make me about 20 to 30 bucks a month. I don't make any money out of talking to you tonight, or a cooking video where only 20 people. I just love showing people, and they don't have to do it that way. Come on, Mel, give us 11 cents. You'll still leave money in the bank. But we've always used that. The wife and I have always used any revenue we've got over the years, send in bits and pieces and some gifts away, and just the way we do it. So I'm net zero carbon economic emissions. Otherwise, I don't make really any money. But you find after time, it's like, when you pour milk out of an urn that's freshly been taken from a cow, Mel, takes overnight for the cream to rise to the top. And that analogy is for like friendship. And that is like, doesn't happen over, straight away. Eventually, you'll find the people that work for you and with you. In other words, you don't always have to agree. You can agree to disagree, and what that means is that you can have a friendship without any commitment or any dollars changing hands. And you can talk about subject matters, etc. So that is really what I believe social media should be, but that's my opinion. Whereas it seems sometimes it's just an emotional crutch for some people, which is very sad. A lot of mental illness out there, and it hits the social media often. And then some people become codependent, worrying about these people with mental illnesses. And some of the best things you can say to these people is seek help. There is. I can tell you it's about 1 in 6 people, and sometimes people say that means every 6th person's crazy. I said, no. Mental illness works on a scale of anxiety. That's the best way to describe it. Some people are anxious, but they're okay. Some people let their anxieties get so high, they're not okay. And between those two levels, there's a big spectrum. And some people emotionally get anxious over things that happen in life. But there's a lot of manipulative people who are certainly have mental health issues, but they use it to their financial advantage to take money from other people, which is wrong. And there's not a person on the planet that doesn't go through some form of depression on occasions or often, or due to the loss of a family member, a loved one. But they're a natural depression. They're not living a life of depression, where some people are. Some people just go down a pit and really just want to drag you down there with them. They pull you down to that black hole, Mel, and say, see how dark it is down here? This is what I have to live with, Mel. Now come and stay here with me. Mel slaps him on the head with a baseball bat and says, nah, she's right, mate. You just stay down there by yourself. Yeah, that's a terrible thing to do to anyone. It's like, g'day Radko, it's like when people will be manipulative to the point of those enormous lies, like my husband's dead and he's not. It's a emotive tool. It's like a leverage on other people. You know, Mel, some people just don't want friendship. They just want attention. That's all their life is about. They don't know anyone in real life on social media. They might have heard their voice, or they might have seen them text, but they don't know them. And a lot of people think it's the case of some of these channel owners are telling a sad story or complaining about someone. All they really want is those numbers to flick up on how many people are here, and you get some sort of affirmation like, do you agree with me? And it's like, So these people are very lonely, and we use any tool to have some sort of attention. It's not friendship they're ever after. But you just give, and one of the things, and I've always said to everyone that I know personally, is that by all means give your empathy to people. It's a currency, empathy. But don't give them your sympathy, because that's an emotional currency. And if you start spending sympathy money, you're invested. Whereas if you can remain empathetic, and it's a very slight change of how you answer people. You get a long, sad tale, my husband's died and all that, and you can use the words like, oh, I feel very sorry for you, but, there can be people out there that can help you get through this. In other words, you're not the crutch. You're just giving them friendly advice. That's being empathetic. But if you say, give me your phone number and I'll call you, immediately you're spending your emotional currency, and you're invested up to your neck. But people can do what they like. But I see so many people that are not bad people and they're gullible. It doesn't make them bad. Someone donates $50 to somebody and people think, oh, you idiot. Well, it's their money. I've always said that. But that's also an emotional investment. It's a real financial investment with no return. And is it true? And I think you've already explained it. A lot of people tell pork pies. And usually it's because then, see what a true victim receives is help. And they appreciate it. And they understand that whatever's happened to them is not normal. And people are helping out at the time. I'll give you a great example, Mel. In the 80s, old couple lost a house to fire. They were walking down the beach. And they lost a house to fire. It was devastating. No insurance, in their late 60s. Well, I just had to pull my phone down. I apologise for that. Must be pretty warm where you are tonight too, Mel. But I literally had to hold the phone up next to the fan. I'm back. No, it's an Apple. And I've got another phone on my lap, which I'm watching the text with. But this older iPhone just got hot. It's been a hot day though. Got to about 100 or 37. I'm not sure how hot it got where you are. We were down that way probably. I've got a little video I'm making up. I had a bit of a windfall on Gumtree. Picked up an old cast iron potbelly stove. It was quite a long one, not just a round one. It's quite long with a couple of like Metters tops on it, so you can cook on it as well. So I'm refurbishing that, taking it all back, cleaning it up, and I'll have that video up sometime next week. Bargain, picked it up for $100. Going to do some work on it today, but it just got too warm. It's going to be warm for the next couple of days, but next week, middle of next week, it's cooler again, so I'll get into it again then. Oh yeah, you must have missed that. What it was, we all got together as a town and rebuilt it within 3 weeks. From the ground up, everything new, people from electrical companies donated, fridges, ovens, things like that. Took no time, probably about 80, 90 people working on it. Someone come and landscaped what they didn't have. Just had grass before, now it was pavers. But that happened a lot in the old days. People to help each other out. Like I know within the first 3 or 4 hours there was people rocking up with all sorts of clothes for them to pick through. People had a house they could use until they thought they'd be months. But within 3 weeks, the main guy running it knocked on their door and said, you need to come for a drive with me. And then he handed them a key and said, there you go, all fixed. Yeah, everyone can come together and do stuff like that. Even if someone says, we want to help out a couple that have lost everything. And then you go, oh, at the back we've got an old table and chairs I don't use. You give them that. Someone says, I've got a fridge they can have. You know what I mean? It takes no time. People have got stuff that they can give them without affecting themselves really. And these old couple never asked for anything. They were just grateful someone had somewhere there to stay. Their dog was safe. They had everything, as far as they were concerned, that was important. There's a bit of a change in attitude over the years where some people expect stuff for nothing. Just because maybe they're doing it hard, they're not working and they don't want to work. They want, someone to give them a car, cheap rent, give me food, and in the end they get into a habit. No, I won't contribute to a GoFundMe at all. Nothing wrong with helping people, but not on a platform where things can go horribly wrong. Well, that's just stupid, isn't it? Was it $10 a day? We did it last year when we went to Europe. It was like about $6 a day, wasn't it?
Right.
Travel insurance?
Yeah.
For everything? And, if you're going away for even 6 weeks, what's that? 40 days. And it costs you $250 to cover yourself. If you can afford to travel overseas, you can afford travel insurance. The Russian leader was not elected. He was put in. Yeah, Russia works a bit different than Australia. I know that the last president, who's now been booted in the United States, would love to have had the same method as Mr. Putin. It just didn't work out that way. No, we've always taken travel insurance. See, travel insurance, a lot of people don't know. They just think it's to cover them on little things, but it's a lot more than that. If you lose your phone, if the hotel that you booked into is closed, travel insurance will pay for where you go, get you a new phone, luggage, all sorts of stuff. And even if your flights have been cancelled, it covers you for that as well. We hope to be going to New Zealand somewhere in the crystal ball future. Oh, look, the thing about the UK, when we went to the UK, I would have been covered because the national health system, a bit like ours, has an agreement with Australia and Canada. Whereas if you happen to go to Germany like we did, there is no such thing. But I took travel insurance for everything, including the UK, because you can lose your phone still. You can have a hotel collapse and not have your room. So there's lots of the reasons why you take travel insurance. Getting home is one of the main reasons you take travel insurance. A lucrative business though, because I'm sure some people do use travel insurance, but not many. So it's money for old rope. But I can tell people, do not go to a travel agent to book your holidays. We looked at it last year. We've always done our own itineraries. We thought we'd give this mob a try. And they had all the flight details, accommodation, exactly everything. And we went away and thought, thanks for that. They give you a little folder with all the stuff in it. So we'll get back to you. And if we'd have gone with them, we would have spent another $12,000 for exactly the same thing, the same flights, the same hotels,
that we booked ourselves. And I was not going to give them 12 grand for nothing. I know they've got to make a living, but in the old days, this is how it used to work. I had friends that used to work in the travel industry. There's a retainer, usually paid by, in the old days, Qantas, and you know, a few of the others. And they pay travel agents on percentages of how many bookings they had come through them. Like, give an example. What would cost $500, say, from flight from Perth to Sydney? They probably get $80 from the airline company. That's how it used to work. But how it works now is they get very little from the airline companies, and they just put a markup. If a flight is $1,000, they add another $150 to it. It's like, so I went down there, I said, I'm not going to get mad with you, young lady, but why is the same flight that I can book right now on my phone going to be $2,500 cheaper just for the flight? And it's the same airline, the same flight number than what you gave me. She said, oh, that's just how it is. I'm saying, well, it's not how it is. It's not happening. I don't mind you making money on the transition that we would have done, but that's ridiculous. So my advice, spend a bit of research, time, go into it yourself, book your own itineraries. You don't travel? Okay. I have to go do my assignment, goes to all the things. No worries. Good to catch up with you. Hope your son gets better. Have you got any of that, what's that milky stuff you drink when you have gastro? What's that called? When you have an upset tummy and gastro.
Oh, Mylanta.
Yeah, Mylanta could help.
Mylanta,
Yes.
I don't know.
Your air quality might be diminished. But probably the biggest secret when someone's got gastro, as you know, Mel, just keep the fluids up. Anyway, you have a good night. And on that note, my phone's getting hot again. We shall say good evening.
Which phone's getting hot now?
No, it's warm. It's just, you know, we're probably going to bed shortly anyway. But to all the people that may be there, and I don't know if you're there, maybe you're listening to me with your head under a blanket, sucking on a hot cocoa. You think, I'm not going to text anything, I'm just going to listen to him. I know you're there, all right? But anyway, even if you're there, but not there, have a good night, a good day, wherever you are, and we'll see you again some other time. Good night.